Roll camera. Mics up. And action. Live from Australia, streaming around the world. The most cinematic podcast of your week awaits. This is Bottomless Popcorn with your host, Morgan Brown.
Hey everyone, I'm Morgan. This is another episode of Bottomless Popcorn. Today's episode, we have my day one kindergarten desk buddy from primary school, Blake Morley, on to talk to us about his four favourite films. As I said, we've been friends since kindergarten, so the year 1999, and we've gone to the movies a fair few times in primary school, high school, and beyond. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to Blake and hearing about his top four favorite films. Let's get straight into it. Enjoy.
Hi, my name's Blake Morley, and the last movie that I watched for the eighth time was The Gentleman.
Very good. Liked it? Obviously, if you've watched it 8 times, yeah.
Loved it. It's I left it out of my top 4 because I thought it probably would have been brought up quite a bit.
It hasn't yet. Some other Guy Ritchie movies have, but not The Gentleman yet. Yeah, Snatch has come up, but not
we can talk about it. We can talk about it if you want.
It's good. I'm glad you liked it because
I love that movie.
I feel like not many people saw it, and I think it might be a bit like Snatch and Lock, Stock, where people kind of find it a bit later, and it's definitely going to have a bit of a following, which is cool to see.
Yeah, and that they released that. There's a song on Spotify that Box of the Bush. Bugs in the Road.
Really?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. It's like it made my Spotify rap last year. I listened to it so much.
Very good. I didn't know that. That's cool.
I embarrassingly know most of the words to it now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So, yeah.
So Blake, you and I know each other since the very first day of primary school, all the way back in the year 1999.
Yeah. I actually remember turning up. We got there heaps early. You were in Warrabrook, obviously, but we were only up on Maud Street. And we got there early, and I think we were there first, but I remember looking at your name tag, and we were waiting for like 20 minutes for you, and then that was it.
Came this crying little boy that didn't want to be there.
Yeah. And we were sort of like best mates from kindy. So it was long time ago, 22 years ago, 23 years ago now.
Right? I just have this memory of there being pictures on our desk, and the only calming thing I found about being there was that there was a Thomas the Tank Engine picture somewhere in front of you or somewhere on our desk.
Yeah.
But apart from that, just crying and crying and crying.
Yeah, we I think your house was the first friend's house that I went to for the afternoon, and I remember it was either that year or the year after, but you had all like the Disney plush toys.
I would have had like the little wooden train set and stuff as well. Hey.
Yeah, but I think you had one from A Bug's Life, maybe.
Right.
I think you had one of the ones from A Bug's Life, and I was jealous, and I took it home under my shirt. And I took it under my shirt to the car, and then I put it in the glove box, and I got in so much trouble when I got home and pulled it out. And Mum's like, don't you realise that Morgan's dad's a detective? You're going to get in so much trouble. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'll take it back tomorrow. And he was actually there the next day, and I gave it to you without trying to hide it from Dom.
Well, it shows how much I must have liked it, because I don't even remember this.
Yeah, I think I gave it back to you, and you were like, oh, thanks. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm so sorry I took it. I don't really care.
Yeah, sounds about right. Very good.
Yeah.
And then obviously since all the way going through school, there's heaps of times where we've gone to the movies together as like a family. And then it's also probably worth mentioning that we have 2 sisters that are the same age that have the exact same experience of being desk buddies on day one of kindergarten as well. So they've also come through the same experience. So the families have kind of stayed pretty close all the way through, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, so you could say small world, but there was only a class of 20 at Corpus Christi, so it's like a 1 in 10 chance of that happening. So
exactly.
Yeah, not that small a world, but and they're still pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good mates.
Exactly.
I think. Not that I talk to my sister about your sister that much, but I think they're still pretty good friends. So yeah.
No, exactly.
Long time.
All right, so we've gone to the movies a fair bit together as well as we've
Hmm.
grown up, and we're going to go
Yep.
again today. But I mean, we're probably going to make a pit stop at the candy bar first. So what snacks are you going to grab on the way into the movies?
Well, I'm not one that's massive on snacks, but when I do, I get like the jumbo size raspberry Fanta, like fire engine,
Yep.
jumbo size fire engine. I normally leave the popcorn for you. You're
Hmm.
normally the one who gets the popcorn, and we just scab off you throughout the movie.
Yep.
So probably a packet of Skittles and probably Maltesers as well. And I'll
Nice.
probably only eat a little bit of both and leave the half-eaten packet in the movies.
Yep.
Bit of a waste.
Yeah. I think I'll tell you what I've learnt by doing these so far is that I just need to buy one size smaller in popcorn because everyone seems to think that they don't need to buy one because I won't finish
Yeah,
whatever box I get.
yeah, that's right.
So if I've learned anything out of doing this, it's that so far.
Uh-huh.
If you're going to the movies, are you like the cinema you're going into? Are you going for like the big screen? Are you going for a recliner seat? What are you doing? Are you going to Gold Lounge? Are you going to get some
I'm
food and
going. I'm
drink brought
going.
into you?
I'm going. Yeah, I don't mind the Titan at Reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and yeah, I wasn't so much into like the sound engineering side of the movie setup, but ever since you pointed out, where all the sweet spots are at Reading. So yeah, sort of sitting halfway between middle and back
Yeah.
is the place to be. Dead
It
center.
is.
Yeah, it actually does make a bit of a difference.
No,
And
nice.
and that's probably the thing about lockdown. Like, I'm watching a lot of movies at home, and I don't go to the movies a lot. Like, I only really go when you invite me, but it does, take away. Like, all these movies are getting like put up straight onto like the streaming services, and it takes away from the experience a little bit rather than actually going to the movies and getting the full
experiencing it
experience.
that way. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Um,
No,
sorry, go on.
oh yeah, no, I was just going to touch back on you and I have seen all movies, with families, like we were just talking before about, going to see Harry Potter. I think we were like at one of the first screenings, and we got sat up the front, like second or third row, and it was like you, Pauline, Ashley, me, Mum, and Liv, and
Yeah.
they were like playing Quidditch and doing duels up the front. And all went up, and I think that was the closest I'd ever been to the screen before, and we all went up and touched on the screen afterwards. I don't know why we got such a kick out of that, but
it was the thing. Yeah.
but it was a thing.
Yeah.
But ages ago, and more recently, going with you and Slay and
Yeah.
Luke. Sometimes, but not very often. Goots.
Yeah.
And we went and saw Godzilla.
That's
That
right.
was an absolute flop. You crossed
And
it, but
A Quiet Place 2, I think, was the last thing we
that
worked
was
out we
that
saw.
was the most recent one. Yep.
Yeah. Which was cool. It was nice to go once more, I guess,
Yeah.
before everything shut down. So that was nice.
Yeah. I think that's the first time I've ever been to see a sequel without seeing the
The
prequel.
first one.
Yeah, and it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I've actually watched it again since.
Yeah. Have you seen the first one yet?
I have not seen the first one.
Oh, right.
But I watched the second one again, and it was it's pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Do you remember the first movie you ever saw at the movies as a kid?
I was listening to your podcast, this week's podcast, and they asked him this question, and he said A Bug's Life, but I I think the first movie I ever saw, I can't remember if it was at the movies, but I think the first movie I ever saw was Lion King. I think it's like most kids, the first movie you ever see is a Disney movie.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty certain it was The Lion King. But most of my experiences going to the movies as a kid with my grandma, and she lived at Jesmond, and I don't know if you ever went to the cinema. At
the little
Gardens.
Regal one.
The
Yeah,
Regal.
yeah.
Yeah, the Regal. Yeah, we used to walk up to the Regal, and I think most of those movies that were being shown there had sort of either they didn't show a lot of brand new releases like the ones that get released at the big movies. But I remember going with her to see a few. I can't remember the ones I saw, but a lot of fond memories growing up, going to see the movies with Nan, and Nan was very like would let us do what we want. I remember I would have been 7, and we went down to like Blockbuster and got Team America, and I watched Team America at 7 years old, 7 years old at Nan's house.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Don't tell your mother." But distinctly remember the Kim Jong-il wheelbarrow.
Yes.
7 years old.
Yeah. I was saying I did an episode of this the other day with someone, and I was saying, like, I remember you just knew about those movies and wanted to see them, and you definitely would have, and you probably still found it funny. But I look back on them and think the amount of things that are in that still just would have went over my head that I wouldn't have understood. Like I saw Superbad at the movies, and I wasn't 15. I remember we got like snuck in, or we bought tickets to a different movie and hopped across or something like that. But I just remember going, why did you do it? Like, there's no chance I laughed at every joke in that, because there's no chance I understood half the stuff they were talking about. Like,
yeah, definitely. Like, you definitely get a new, like, the more you mature, I think you get a new appreciation, not even just for movies, but like for TV shows, like The Simpsons. Yeah. Like The Simpsons, so many, like, I love The Simpsons growing up, but so many of those jokes just go over your head, and you watch it back now, and you're like, this show is like so funny and well written, but you just don't understand when you're younger. And same for movies as well.
Exactly. What's a movie that you remember more for the experience of seeing it, rather than, or you remember the experience more than the actual movie?
The experience more than the actual movie. Probably Insidious. Insidious is probably because it was such, like, I'm not a scary movie. Like, I'm not really, like, I've watched that many scary movies now that I'm not that, like, I sort of expect what's coming. But I remember being at Brunker Road, living with Goots and Slay, and we watched Insidious, and don't so much remember the movie, but I remember screaming on the lounge. I remember, like, with all of us, like, cuddling a cushion, not together, but separately, and just being, and it just had, that movie had a different way of scaring you. Like, it wasn't so much jumpy moments, but they really built up certain moments, and even that, like, you've seen Insidious?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, that song "Tiptoe Through the Tulip," I play that around Goots, and I think it still sets him off. It still sets him off. The hairs on the back of his neck stand up, and he hates it. I think that's the sign of a good horror, is when just the sound of a song from that movie can get a reaction out of you, even 10 years later after it's been released. I think that's the hallmark of a good scary movie.
Very good.
For sure.
Well, I think I remember in, like, primary school and high school, you kind of been a bit of a reader, but how do you, like, films based on books, stuff like that? I know Harry Potter was one, but do you often read the books before you see the film, or is it just, do you go visit them maybe after, or?
I'm more now. Lately, I don't read so much, but obviously, like, I read all the Harry Potters growing up. The last, I actually read Gone Girl before I went and saw it. It was in the movies, and I was going to go and see it. And my girlfriends at the time had read the book, and she was like, and she'd seen the movie, and she was like, don't go and see the movie until you read the book. And it's a long ass book. And so I read the book, and then went and saw the movie. And I think that movie was really well done, but it can go either way. I think reading the book, obviously, before seeing the movie, like, you can either develop an appreciation for the movie because you've already seen the book and it was really well done, or they may miss out a few crucial parts that you maybe have, a strong opinion, or you vouch for certain scenes that they've left out, and it can sort of ruin the experience for you. But Gone Girl and Girl on a Train. I read Girl on a Train. Read Girl on a Train before I went and saw the movie. And I actually think the book was done better in that instance. Okay. It was good. It was a good movie. But I think the book was done better. Yeah.
All right. The first trailer's coming on now, which is your fourth favorite film, and it is Crazy Stupid Love.
You're late.
Yeah, sorry.
Sapporo's?
No, thanks.
Let me ask you a question, Kyle. How much money you got today for clothes? What happened to your feet?
What do you mean? These are my 407s.
Oh, they're 407s. Can I see them?
Yeah. These offer a lot of support.
Right.
Whoa, come on!
What are you, in a fraternity?
Are you insane?
Are you in a fraternity?
You could have hit somebody. What was that?
I'm asking you a question. You in a fraternity?
No.
Are you Steve Jobs?
What?
Hold on a second. Are you the billionaire owner of Apple Computers?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, you got no right to wear New Balance sneakers ever. Come on.
Okay. All right.
One of the best parts about being a guy your age, and frankly, there aren't many, so you should really take full advantage of it, is that you can rebuild your entire wardrobe with like 16 items. Credit card.
Well, speaking of you, there was probably about 7 or 8 movies that I had to sort of pick between, and I picked this one just for a bit of variety rather than just going. I noticed that through my list there were a lot of the same kind of movies, and I don't mind a rom-com, and I love Ryan Gosling, and everyone loves Steve Carell. So just having those two in the movie makes for a good time. But I don't know, it's just a good storyline. It's a bit unrealistic, you know, the sad recently divorced man meets the hotshot bachelor who's taken a new girl home every night, and he takes him under his wing. But I don't know, it's just a good story. And
did you see that
however long it was
kind of twist coming? Did you think when you watched it the first time?
Absolutely not. No, it wasn't until, because they kept it under wraps, that they even had a third child.
Yes.
But it makes sense when she walks, they're like, oh yeah, just waiting on the eldest child to turn up. And
which is, they affectionately call her Nana, but to everyone else in the movie, she's called Hannah. Which I think is how that's covered through most of the text when they talk about her.
Hannah Banana. Yeah. And then it makes sense why they were married for so long, because, you know, she got knocked up at 17 and they had a kid. But yeah, that scene where everyone just comes together, the babysitter comes in with the father, who's his best mate, and they all just start punching on. Yeah. And then
David Lindhagen shows up as well.
Yeah, David Lindhagen.
Yes.
Turns up with the cardigan. He's like, you left this in my bedroom. He's like, who are you? I'm David Lindhagen. Oh, that's right. You've caused my friend a lot of pain over the past 4 weeks. Starts bashing him. Yeah. But I don't mind the rom-coms, and that's probably it's probably my favorite one. It's just a good laugh. A lot of things you don't see coming. Yeah. And the Dirty Dancing scene in the middle, when him and Emma Stone are in the room, and that's his big move. I think a lot of people can get around that. If you can get around Dirty Dancing, you can get around this movie. So it's just got cool. A lot going for it.
It is. It's pretty nice. I remember seeing this one at the movies and kind of enjoying it, I think, a bit more than I expected to. I did look up a little bit of trivia about this one for you as well, which some of the stuff I thought you might find cool about it. But apparently the film really struggled to get a title. And even the one they have, Crazy Stupid Love, is not one that a lot of the filmmakers are thrilled about. So during the shooting of the movie, they ran a competition that involved all the crew and offered if anyone could come up with a better title, they'd win an iPad. At the time, the movie came out in 2011. iPads were the craze. So
I was going to say that
like a good prize.
Would have been a mad prize. Yeah.
So Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling would go on to play a couple in 2 other movies following this one. They played a couple in the movie Gangster Squad, and then in La La Land. Yeah. And then this one I thought you would find very funny. Steve Carell put an Easter egg in the film on Emily. So his partner in the film, Emily Weaver's desk. So on her desk, she has a little nameplate that says her name and title. So it reads Emily Weaver, associate to the vice president.
Right.
Instead of assistant to the regional manager.
That's good.
Which I thought I did not notice, but that's quite funny that I think they've snuck that in there.
Yeah, I think you got to be pretty eagle-eyed to pick up something like that.
Exactly.
And obviously, relate it back to The Office.
Quite clever. I'll jump on. I'll move through a couple more questions now. What film has the best soundtrack and the best score?
My favorite soundtrack was probably Black Panther. I'm very much into rap, and I love Kendrick Lamar. There's just so many good features on that album. It's got like a real tribal sort of feel to it as well. Like Khalid. I love Vince Staples, who features on one of the tracks. J-Rock, Kendrick. It's just got like a real all-star cast to it, and a lot of those songs made like some of the like top the charts at the time. And it was obviously such a big movie, especially for black rights and all that sort of thing at the time. In that sort of snapshot in time, it was sort of perfectly timed, I reckon, for that to come out. And I still those songs I still listen to those songs quite regularly.
And then what about for the score?
I think Star Wars. Star Wars is probably, it's just, it's so iconic. Like,
you could hear it and you pretty easily identify where it's from.
Straight away. Even if you don't watch Star Wars, you know that's Star Wars. Harry Potter, like, obviously that's an iconic sound as well. But I think,
both are made by the same person too. So it's kind of funny that you say those two as well. They're both John Williams scores. So what do you think is the best looking film? So that can be how it's shot, looks amazing, like all the camera moves, stuff like that. And then you could also take it as everything within the frame is amazing, the costumes, the locations, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think Mad Max was done like costume wise. Very well done. I think I developed a new appreciation for Lord of the Rings now that I've watched them. Like, you watch them back on DVD and you realise how far we've come in terms of production and just how well they shoot a movie. Sort of since they've been remastered on Blu-ray and put onto streaming services. Being shot in New Zealand, every part of that country is beautiful anyway. But I think that was really well done. And one of the movies we're going to talk about later is
we'll come back to that one.
We'll come back to that one. But I think it was especially that opening scene was done really well. So in terms of I'd say for most beautiful movie, I'd say probably the Lord of the Rings trilogy is probably the best. Maybe The Revenant. The Revenant was done really well as well. They're probably the main ones. Anything that's shot in nature, I think, even some of the Mission Impossibles, like they're done pretty well.
What's the funniest film that you've ever seen?
The funniest film I've ever seen, there's so many, but I think there's different kinds of humor. But because sorry to come back to The Gentleman, but I come back to The Gentleman just because the first time I watched it was with my housemate Tom, and we're sort of into the British comedy because we both have a similar sense of humor, and we can still quote that movie even just in day-to-day things. Like we can bring up a quote and we'll just piss ourselves. Like I think that's why I find that movie so funny. It's not just about how you react to a movie, but sometimes it's about the people that you experience it with that can sort of enrich that for you and sort of drag that experience out just forever, really. Like if you can, I'd say we'll be quoting that movie for a long time. I'd say that's probably it. The Gentleman's probably the funniest movie I've seen.
Opposite end, what's the saddest film you've ever seen?
Saddest film I've ever seen. Ever since I never watched Marley and Me until about probably 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And ever since I watched Marley and Me, I don't know what it's like. I cried in that movie, especially having a similar kind of dog. That movie, hit me hard. And I don't know, ever since I've watched that, I am just turned into the biggest bitch when I watch certain films, certain scenes that really should not make me emotional. They're just making me emotional. I think I've cried like since then. I've like teared up when Dumbledore died in Harry Potter. I didn't the first time, but I've rewatched it recently and teared up when Dumbledore passed away. And so probably Marley and Me, I'd say, would be the saddest. They really build you up in that one. You sort of get attached to that dog and that family, and then snatched away from you at the end. It sucks.
Sure. We kind of touched on this one earlier, I think, so it might be the answer. But the scariest film you've ever seen? Is it Insidious?
I'd say it would be Insidious. And it's only the first one. I think they ruined it. Well, not ruined it, but the sequels didn't do it justice. And I think
Sure.
the more they bring out, the worse they get. Yeah. Insidious, the first one, was like a different kind of. It was a type of scary that I hadn't really seen before. And yeah, they do so well with the music. You know, in certain scenes, especially that tiptoe through the tulips, and yeah, they even trick you into thinking something scary is going to happen, and then it doesn't, and then you sort of relax, and then it hits you.
And it hits you. Yeah.
It hits you. So Insidious for me would be easily the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Sure. Well, let's jump on to your second trailer. So your third favorite film, and this is Green Book.
Dear Dolores, DEAR, this is an animal. As I'm writing this letter, I'm eating potato chips, and I'm starting to get thirsty. And you know this is pathetic, right? Tell me what you're trying to say.
Oh. Yeah, I miss her.
Then say that. But do it in a manner that no one else has ever done it before. Something like, put this down. Falling in love with you was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Nothing matters to me but you. And every day I'm alive, I'm aware of this. I loved you the day I met you. I love you today. And I will love you the rest of my life. So can I put P.S. Kiss the Kids?
A P.S.?
Yeah, like at the end.
That's like clanging a cowbell at the end of Shostakovich's 7th.
Right. So that's good.
It's perfect, Tony.
Yeah, I actually watched The Green Book recently, which is probably one of the main reasons that it got in, just being familiar with having seen it recently. But it's just for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's just a great film about two completely different cultures coming together, one being a bit prejudiced towards the other, and through their journey traveling down south in a very racist Southern America, he sort of realizes that maybe his prejudices were wrong, and they learn a bit from each other.
Sure.
You know, this renowned pianist actually takes quite a bit from the Italian bouncer from New York. So that's just a really written movie. Also very, very well done in how it was shot. You sort of develop an affection for the characters. And I actually didn't realize for the first 10 minutes when I first saw it, that it was Aragorn who was playing
from Lord of the Rings.
He's just
Viggo
aged
Mortensen.
so terribly. But or whether he's aged terribly or it's just very good makeup. But just had no idea, and he plays such a good character in that film.
Was this one you saw at the movies, or this was one you saw for the first time?
I saw it. No, I saw it at the movies. And then I've probably seen it maybe five times. For me to go back to a movie,
you have to really like it.
Yeah, I've got to really like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one ended up winning a fair few awards too. I'm pretty sure it won Best Picture the year it was nominated in the Oscars, which is kind of really cool to see.
It was up against some stiff competition. Was that the same year as Spotlight?
No, because I think Spotlight won the year it was up, but this was up against things like Black Panther and Moonlight. There's another really good film I can't think of. I'll think of it once we're done now. I'm sorry, but I can't think of it. But it was another.
Just edit
really
it back
one.
in, mate.
Yeah. But no, it was another film that this one. I don't know. Did you ever see Hidden Figures?
I did not. No. And I know you guys were talking about it a lot the other day. Not the other day for you, but the other day for me when I listened to that podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's, I haven't seen Hidden Figures. But the good thing about listening to your podcast is a lot of people bring up these awesome movies that I haven't seen.
And I want to check out afterwards.
I'm just noting them down on my phone as I need to see that. I need to see if it's on Netflix.
I think the fact that you enjoyed this one, I think definitely add Hidden Figures to that list because it's kind of a similar.
Was it?
No, not it's not heaps similar, but just it's kind of themes, maybe, and the struggles, and it's a true story, and it's really, it has a nice ending, and things some horrible things happen to like African American people, but it's nice to see that kind of be overcome even in films and stuff.
You're not thinking of Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri? Was that year?
Maybe it might have been.
I think that was around either that year, the year before, or the year. Might have been the year after.
I think it's 2017, but this is 2018, so it might be the year before actually.
Okay.
There's the scene in this about the pizza. Did you see this one about the unsliced pizza?
Yeah, well, they weren't actually going to include that in the movie, were they? And then
they weren't, and it was something that like he spoke to the family. Viggo Mortensen spoke to the family about it, and it was something he found out, and he was kind of asking the whole time they were shooting if this is something we could include, and they're a bit like, I don't think so.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
and then they all pissed themselves when they filmed it, and they were like, "Yeah, let's keep it in."
Yep.
Yeah, same
so
as
I think that's a really cool story.
He actually cast Tony Vallelonga actually cast a cast, got a couple of his family members to in there as some of the grandpa was actually his relative. Some of his relatives were actually in there, and Viggo didn't actually know until like a month into like the tour that they were his actual that they were old mate's relatives. So yeah. So I thought I might try and out-trivia you.
Yeah, you have there.
Yeah.
The film is it's directed by Peter Farrelly, who until this movie had always directed as a pair with his brother Bobby and directed some of the greatest comedies of all time. So I was quite shocked to find out that he was the director of this when it first came out back in 2018. But before this, he did films like Stuck on You, Something About Mary.
Right.
What else? Hall Pass, like those kind of films were the films they were doing before this. And then to see him come out with a film like this was kind of crazy, like really hardcore comedies, and then come out with such a really deep drama was cool to see, I thought. But
and to win awards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some pretty big awards in his first film solo is a pretty decent effort.
Yeah. I'll move on again. I guess we're kind of just talking about that then, but films that win awards, get nominations, things like that, critically acclaimed movies, do you take much notice of that? Does that influence your decision in a film you will or won't see?
I think it does a little bit. I'm not actively monitoring who's up for Oscars because a lot of the time they haven't come out yet. Like they've sort of just featured. Yeah, they have so a little bit. I do take notice when films win a lot of awards, and I have in the past watched a movie based on like the Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I watched that because it won a few awards. I think Frances McDormand won Best Actress for that, and I was like, I got to see it, and it did it like they should have won awards on that movie. It was fantastic. That's one I can think of. I watched it because it was up for a lot of awards. But yeah, the Green Book, fantastic film. It won a heap of awards. I can't really think of too many others that I've watched purely because they've won awards. I still haven't seen Avatar, and it was.
Oh, you're kidding?
I haven't seen Avatar. No.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
You're probably all right with that one, to be honest. It's all right.
Yeah.
Just wait till the sequels come out and start with the second one again. You'll be all right.
Yeah. There we go.
What's a movie you can't believe that you still haven't seen?
Avatar.
Avatar, yeah.
No, probably White Chicks.
Oh, really?
White Chicks is a movie that I have not seen. For a lot of people, the funniest movie they've ever seen. Yeah. There's a few cult classics that. Yeah, that's probably the thing I'm worst for is there'll be cult classic movies, then I just will not make the effort to go and see them for a long time. I think I like Mean Girls. I didn't see Mean Girls until a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the one that
nice.
A lot of 95% of the population have probably seen White Chicks. Yeah, I'm in the minority. Yeah.
What movie you loved? You've come to rewatch it, and when you've rewatched it, you've actually kind of had an opinion change on it. It's not as loved as you remember it being the first time you saw it.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know if I loved it the first time I saw it, but World War Z, I watched that and thought it was fantastic, and then went to watch it again and didn't enjoy it as much. Good Luck Chuck, another one. A lot of people love that movie. I watched it the first time, thought it was hilarious. I think I watched it with Jordan Slay actually. And came to watch it the second time, and I was like, this isn't that funny.
What movie surprised you the most? You went in kind of not really expecting much, but came out really glad you'd actually seen it in the end.
I think Kingsman, the first Kingsman movie.
Okay,
the first Kingsman movie. I don't know. It just seemed, watching the trailer, it just seemed a bit too unrealistic. Like, good storyline, but even the storyline was a bit too Hollywood.
Sure.
And then I watched it and it was great. And the second one was even better. I thought, both those movies are fantastic. And also Skyfall. That was the first James Bond movie I ever watched. I was very just didn't really
expect
not
much,
really
but...
into James. Yeah, but it was the soundtrack for that movie was great as well. And really well shot, especially like one of those final scenes out in like the paddock.
At night.
Just a really well done movie, and I definitely developed an appreciation for Daniel Craig as well. After that movie.
I saw a video on YouTube the other day that was like just one that just attacks a movie on every level and just like picks it apart. And its argument was that Javier Bardem's character was the greatest Bond villain of all time because of his preparation. And it was because of the scene where he escapes down through the London Underground. His timing had to be so on point to account for the train to run late for James Bond to end up there when the train crashes down through the tunnel. Like, that was their whole point, was that like the London Underground doesn't run on time, so that the fact that he the fact that he timed it out for that to happen was
that's a fair
perfect.
point. He had to account for the natural error of London Underground.
Which I thought was quite funny. What's a movie you've seen, you really enjoyed it, but just seeing it the once was enough? You don't feel like there's a need to come back and see this one again?
I feel like I'm sticking with a lot of Brad Pitt movies, but Fury.
Okay,
I watched that and loved it. Hey mate, and thought it was really well done. Great storyline, and I love war movies. And I actually went back to watch it again. Got about 10 minutes in it, and thought, if I keep watching this, I think it's going to ruin it for me. So I turned it off and haven't watched it again.
Nice.
I'd say Fury for me.
All right. I'll move on now to your final trailer. This is an exciting
trailer.
one.
I've got two more, don't I?
You've got one more trailer, and then you've got a main feature.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this movie's great.
So your final trailer is Dodgeball.
Underway. Average Joe's versus the Globo Gym Goliath. Quick elimination there for Kate Veach. Mike Goodman's hit. That ball is up for grabs, and it's caught. That's a catch.
You're out, LaFleur.
Peter LaFleur has got to sit down, and Joe's has lost their two best players early. Dwight Baumgarten's still playing hard. Hits Michelle Jones right on the dome. You're my next time. On the bite in the tuchus. 2-1 SA, and Globo Gym is dominating. You're out! I don't know what that was all about, but it leaves Joe's on the wrong side of a 4-2 advantage.
I actually think this could be the funniest movie I've ever seen. And my favourite character, White Goodman, is my favourite character from any movie ever made. I'm not sure if that's a question you're going to ask me later, but
it is. So I'm glad you answered it.
Just so many classic one-liners, such a good cast. and everyone loves an underdog story. Yeah, just so well written. Like Jason Bateman plays like a little cameo role at the end.
Yep, he's a commentator,
and just kills it. Yeah, with some really, really good one-liners as well. And he's just playing like a character that, you wouldn't expect him to be able to pull off so well.
What kind of sticks out to you as maybe the funniest moment of the film?
Oh, there's so many good ones. Like, I love when they introduce old love, Fran Stalinashkevich comes out and she's like got the roughest head I've ever seen. Probably my favorite scene, probably on the porch, turns up in the full white tracksuit, pumps himself up, gets there, and Vince Vaughn punches him in the nose, and that's probably my favorite scene from the whole. It's all great. It's just everything about it is fantastic. It's a movie that you could take, like when they say it, like that episode in The Office when they said what are 5 movies that you could take to a deserted island and watch for the rest of your life. Dodgeball is top of the list. I will never ever get sick of that movie.
Tire of it.
Yeah. Ben Stiller. Any Ben Stiller movie is great, but that movie is just a really iconic movie.
There's a bit of trivia on this one that I thought was pretty cool and that you'd enjoy as well, which is so all the dodgeball stuff was kind of saved till last, and all the actors were really looking forward to it because they really thought it would be fun until they started playing and they realized how much it actually hurts if you're getting a ball pegged at your face. So they quickly got over it and wished it had been the exact opposite. Ben Stiller broke 3 cameras consecutively trying to get the exact same shot. He just kept throwing it too close to the camera, hitting it and destroying it, which
what scene was that for?
It must be the final game, I would have imagined.
Maybe when he's throwing it, they're standing in the triangle for the sudden death, and he throws it, and it's that scene where the ball's coming at the camera, and at the last second he leans away. Maybe it's that one.
Maybe, but it also said something about how his wife is on the other team. Christine Taylor is Ben Stiller's wife in real life. Right. I'm pretty sure in the final game he hits her and eliminates her from the game.
Yeah,
but
and then hits her again.
Yes, but there's a piece there where it talks about how he pegged it in the face. Like, sounds a bit like, oh, geez.
I had no idea that. Well, I do now, but like, it didn't even click to me. I think it's just a movie that you watch and don't take much notice of. But Vince Vaughn's in it, Ben Stiller's in it.
Yes.
But you don't really take too much notice of. You just sort of enjoy the story. You don't really take too much notice of who else is in it. But there you go.
Yeah, there's I don't think you would have ever listened to any of these, but the DVD release of this has an audio commentary track on it with Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and I think the director. And that is just them talking over the film, or a commentary track is them talking over the film about how they made it, or fun stories from them making it and stuff like that. But about, I think it's like 20-ish minutes into the track, they just start having a fight, like a really like
an in-depth, like realistic argument.
And they just walk out of the recording. And then they so it turns out to be fake. But what happens is an audio engineer walks in and decides what to do, and so he just gets another movie's audio commentary track and pastes it over the top. So it only goes for about 20 minutes, and then the audio commentary track from There's Something About Mary starts playing over it instead. Which I thought was a bit random, but quite funny as well.
I'll have to give it a watch.
Yes,
I've got the DVD, so I'll have to
flick it in and have a listen. It doesn't go for very long. But I'm pretty sure they just start hurling insults at each other, and then it just gets real serious. And then I think it was maybe part of a publicity stunt, perhaps, but it's quite funny. I've got a couple more questions before we talk about your main feature. Who plays Blake Morley in the Blake Morley biopic?
That's a great question. I'd probably have to go. My favorite actor is Matt McConaughey.
Sure. His head's not big enough, though.
Yeah, probably not. Matt McConaughey. Yeah, probably Matt McConaughey. Or Charlie Hunnam.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Charlie Hunnam and I have similar coloured hair. That's the only thing I'm really basing that off.
Yep.
He'd have to probably fix his accent up a little bit, but he does a really good job with the American accent. I had no idea he was British until I watched The Gentleman and found out he was British. So I'm sure he would be able to pull it off. Yeah, probably one of those two, I reckon.
Do you have a favorite quote from a movie? I'm imagining you do, and I'm hoping it's from The Gentleman. And I'm hoping it's a very specific line.
Is it one of the ones that Charlie Hunnam says?
Yes.
Is it when he's in the unit with?
Yes.
And he's like, "You couldn't lift a wheel of cheese, you cunt."
That is exactly the one I was hoping for.
You couldn't lift a wheel of cheese, you cunt. Or you couldn't back up a phone, you cunt. Oh, there's heaps of that's probably one of my favourite quotes. It's not even that great a quote, but just in the context of the movie.
Scene. Yeah, it's
even when Hugh Grant touches the butt, like they're talking about the Wagyu, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I love a Barbie."
Yeah.
And then he leaves. He's like, "You stay there. I'll go and get the Wagyu." And he's like, touches the barbecue. He's like, "Oh wow, fuck me."
It is quite good. Yes.
Well, even like Tom and I, like when old mate, they're up in the apartment and those teenagers come down and they're beside the car and they're like looking like, "Oh, that's mad naughty, bruv." Like me and Tom say that a lot. Like about random shit. That's probably one of my favourite quotes too. Dodgeball. There's a few quotes in Dodgeball. That's a bold move. Carton. Let's see if it pays off for him when he puts the blindfold or when he puts the blindfold on. Yeah, he's not going to be able to see very well, Carton.
Yeah, they are very good.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you favorite character, but we just went over that just before when you were talking about Dodgeball. Do you have a favorite filmmaker, like director, if they're making a film that doesn't
Quentin Tarantino easily. I went down the rabbit hole last night just watching I watched his opening credits on YouTube, a compilation of all his opening credits. It goes for about 40 minutes, and I was just on my bed on my phone watching. Just love the music as well that accompanies a lot of his movies. There's not a movie that he's made that I don't like. Reservoir Dogs.
Well, we should probably jump into your number one movie then, because that is Inglourious Bastards.
You're Elder the Apache.
But Warren, if you heard of us, you probably heard we ain't in the prisoner taking business. We in the killing Nazi business. And cousin, business is booming.
Oh, yeah.
That leaves two ways we can play this out. Either kill you or let you go. Up the road a piece, there's an orchard. Besides you, we know there's another crowd patrol fucking around here somewhere. If that patrol were to have any crack shots, that orchard would be a goddamn sniper's delight. So if you ever want to eat a sauerkraut sandwich again, you gotta show me on this here map where they are. You gotta tell me how many they are, and you gotta tell me what kind of artillery they're carrying with them.
You can't expect me to divulge information that would put German lives in danger.
Well, now, Warner, that's where you're wrong, because that's exactly what I expect. I need to know about Germans hiding in trees, and you need to tell me. And you need to tell me right now.
I respectfully refuse, sir.
Actually, Warner, we're all tickled to hear you say that. Quite frankly, watching Donnie beat Nazis to death is as close as we ever get to going to the movies. Donnie!
Yeah!
Guy's German here wants to die for country. Oblige him.
Is a lot of people's one of the top four in a lot of people's lists.
But I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So many, like it's an all-star cast. Like Christoph Waltz is one of my favorite actors as well. And I was astounded by how many languages he's speaking fluently in that. He goes French, he speaks English, he speaks German, and then towards the end, he's rattling off Italian. Yeah. And it was quite funny, that scene when, they've got Brad Pitt and the other two boys, Gorlami and Dominic DeCoco, who speaks the least amount of Italian out of the three of them. But he's picking apart their Italian accents. He's like, "What's your name?" He's like, "Dominic DeCoco." Again, Dominic DeCoco. Ah, brilliant. Like 2 times.
Yes.
That opening scene in the at the dairy farmer's house is probably if not my favorite scenes from any movie. It really draws you in, and both characters in that house, the father and Hans Landa, just really play such a good role in that scene. I think, yeah, fantastic. If you haven't seen *Inglourious Basterds*, you need to see it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Is
this one you saw at the movies too? It came out in 2009. Yeah,
I did see this at the movies. But
I remember just being shocked at how much of it wasn't in English, like how much of it is subtitled.
Subtitled, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've really got to have an eagle eye for finding Tarantino in this one. He's the first person to get scalped.
Yes,
that's obviously the trademark.
That's
the trademark of a Tarantino movie. Is he plays a very small cameo in every single one of them, and you've really got to be keeping an eye out to find him in this one. But yeah, he's the first one to have his scalp.
How did you feel about him in Django, and specifically his accent?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I think, I mean, you expect him to be in there now, but you watch a lot of him, and
he's probably just in it.
Yeah, but he loves himself. I don't know if you've listened to his podcast with Joe Rogan.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should listen to his podcast with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He is very
different bit of gear.
His own ass. He's up his own ass, and I don't think he knows that he's up his own ass. Like he seems to me like the kind of guy that whatever you've done, I've already done it.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about some comedian, and he's like, "Yeah, when did you get into him?" And Joe's like, Joe's obviously very big on the comedy scene. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got into him around this time." And Quentin's like, I was into him 12 months earlier than that. You were way too late. And Joe's like, "Okay, man, no worries."
Yeah. Stuff like that.
But yeah, he's a great director, and just his story. I don't know if you know much about his story of how he came to actually get Reservoir Dogs, but just his story of how he started out. And I think the first movie he ever made, he made it for 30 grand. And he was just gonna put it out there, and the bloke he was sort of in partnership with just said, "Give me a month to sell this to like a big studio," and they ended up selling it for quite a lot of money, and then he got a few million to make Reservoir Dogs, and the rest is history. He's just made some really iconic movies over the years. And Inglourious Basterds is top for me. Absolutely.
Nice. Have you heard his story about why the film is titled, or the spelling of the title?
I haven't. No.
So it's Bastards, Terds. And he got asked about it for the longest time when it was coming out, and he really wouldn't answer it. He's like, "No, it's just an artistic flourish." But there's been a couple of interviews where he's talked about how it's basically just a joke for himself to see that he could get away with it, to see if he could see posters hung up on buildings calling Brad Pitt a bastard, and like Christoph Waltz is a bastard, and like
right,
just to see if he could literally call people a piece of shit on their own poster, pretty much, which quite funny. And Christoph Waltz, obviously a German speaking native, he dubbed his own performance in a lot of the dubbed versions of the film that aren't subtitled, which I never actually considered that before. But I guess if your first language isn't English, you probably are the person that dubs yourself into your native.
It's not going to sound as authentic as what you're going to.
Exactly.
If you're speaking German or French or however many languages you speak. But,
which is pretty cool, I thought. And then apparently this was one he worked on for over a decade, like writing, a year to film it, and then finally release it. And this is, as we were just saying, it's one that of his filmography tends to be one that sticks out the most, and people really responded to, which is great. I've got two more bits for you, and then we'll be done.
How do you go talking about this movie so often with so many people and trying to find new things to?
It's difficult, but it's cool because it is a good
pages of notes on this
movie.
Or,
it's, I don't know, it's kind of.
And what's your limit? Like, this is what, the third time it's been brought up. So what's your
if it's your favorite movie, I don't know. I can't change it. I don't want to change it because I've done it before, so I don't mind.
And I suppose everyone offers a new perspective too. Like
exactly.
Yeah. regardless of whether you're talking about the same thing, a lot of people offer a different insight into their experience with the film.
And your favorite scene or your favorite character from it, it's probably not the same as, or it largely could be, I guess, but it's probably not the same exact reasoning as the next person. So I'm always happy to hear about it as well. Yep. I've used your top 4 favorite movies, and I've looked all over the internet to find a 1-star review for one of them, but I've took out all the references to what movie it actually is. Okay. So I'm just going to read you this absolute slander. Okay. And I'll get you to take a guess at what it is and maybe defend it. So the title of this review is "My Streak is Broken. I Walked Out. I'm 27 years of age, and this is my first walkout. This was, if not the worst, certainly one of the worst movies I have ever wasted money on. I actually complained at the theater, and they reimbursed me. Let me begin by saying some of the actors in this are some of the most entertaining actors out there. This movie just did not fit them for one reason or another. It appeared that their hearts just weren't in it. Maybe most of them were just there to pick up the paycheck, or just pick up a paycheck in between paychecks. I don't know. They all tried so hard, but no one was likable. What movie was this?
Crazy Stupid Love.
No.
Dodgeball.
Because
the only reason I went with Crazy Stupid Love first is because you said all those actors are some of the most entertaining people, and then you said their hearts weren't in it, and I was like, that could fit Crazy Stupid Love, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, how can that? Yeah, I don't agree with that. Obviously, like,
hates a good time, this person. Yep.
Yeah. This bloke must love watching, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I think Ben Stiller really commits to this character, like, almost to the point where it's like over the top how into it he is. And I think Vince Vaughn just plays a classic Vince Vaughn. It's not too much fuss. He just, he's a real bloke, kind of. Yeah. And Jason Bateman at the end, really, I think he really commits to the character, even though he's not only on the screen for a short amount of time. And at the end of the day, the movie, it's a very light-hearted,
yes,
light-hearted
I don't know why
comedy.
anyone would take it so serious to think about
I don't
that
think
in
you
depth.
need to take that movie so seriously. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's meant to be just a laugh for 90 minutes. But you can't please everyone. I'm sure there's people out there who hate The Lion King, or who hate The Emperor's New Groove, despite that being the best movie ever made.
Yes, of course. I know that is your favorite animated Disney one. I have one more question for you. Provided we can go, which we now know we can because we're opening up on Monday at the time we're recording this. What's a movie you're looking forward to seeing between now and the end of the year up on the big screen? Surely it's.
I haven't been paying a lot of attention to movies that are coming out. I'll just type in movies.
Dune is at the start of December.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man. You got Free Guy. Shang-Chi, the Marvel one. There's what else is there?
Yeah, not particularly. June, I'm looking forward to seeing June. Maybe even Venom 2 comes out soon, doesn't it?
Yes, I think
I
that's
really
the
like
end of this
Venom. I
month.
really like the first Venom.
Yeah.
And I get around all the Marvel movies. I like Tom Hardy, even though he's apparently a bit of a wank. I would say, unless you wanted, you're pretty well into the movie, so I'm always happy to hear a recommendation from you and tag along. But I think Venom 2 will probably be the next one that I will take myself to go and see without anyone having to ask me to go and see it.
But that's it anyway. Thanks so much, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you for talking to us about your 4 movies.
Yeah.
Those were some good ones.
Yeah, no. I think it's really cool you're doing this. I know you got a bit of spare time in between your 9 to 5 job. Well, it's not so much 9 to 5, but you're the first
4 a.m. to 1 a.m. Yep.
Yeah. You're the first, first one of person I know, let alone one of my mates, has actually, you know, gone out and done something like this. And I think it's pretty cool that you are doing something a bit different about something that you're obviously very passionate about. And yeah, movies is a great thing to get different perspectives and different experiences. And yeah, maybe you'll even learn a thing or two from people.
Well, I absolutely have so far. There's a few I hadn't seen that people have spoken about. There's ones that I didn't think I'd ever watch that I think I'll probably have to come around.
Have you watched any yet since that
I have.
given you?
Yeah. So I did one the other day with someone that said Notting Hill. I'd never seen that. So I watched that for the first time the other day. I really enjoyed that. There was another one that I hadn't seen either. Oh, I didn't think I'd seen it, but I did watch it and I had. It was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
I didn't think I'd seen it, but I put it on and kind of worked out that I'd either seen parts of it or seen it in a very broken up state.
Well, I saw it at school. We saw it at school in English. It was like
I did Shawshank in like 4 broken up lessons, and I remember just being devastated that was how I saw it. But yeah,
one of the best movies of all time.
But yeah, no, awesome. Thanks so much, man, for doing this. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time.
I did, mate. Definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Bottomless Popcorn. For bonus content, news, and upcoming guests, follow us on Instagram at Bottomless Popcorn Pod. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. If you'd like to contact the show, you can email us at bottomlesspopcornpod@gmail.com. And be sure to leave a review of your own favorite film wherever you listen to podcasts.